Hey Empoweristas, it's Alex Worley. I am joined by filmmaker Rocco Shields, who's best known for making provocative films like the award-winning Love Is All You Need, which just won another award at the Cayman Film Festival. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was actually very significant because the themes in the film are actually just barely decriminalized in Cayman Islands. So we're not sure that they were ready for this film, but apparently they were.
Ooh, I love it. Well, tell us what the film's about.
Love Is All You Need is a multi-phase project that started in 2011 that essentially is a straight love story in a gay world. It follows people who are marginalized for who they love or who they are, but the world is flipped, so the social norm is actually homosexuality and heterosexuality is taboo. And what's unique about this project and this concept is that it's been done before with this reversal, but only in a comedic sense. And so what I'm doing with it is creating a drama that has some funny moments, of course, and by playing it straight, quote unquote, without using stereotypes or stigma or preconceived notions about what a gay world would look like, we're able to create a very effective, provocative tool that causes a lot of conversation because people are allowed to plug themselves into a place where they are being bullied and they are being oppressed. The very next day, I had a woman come to me. She goes, "Are you Rocco Shields?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I have to tell you something. My mother saw your film last night at its world premiere, and she called me today for the first time in 20 years. And now she understands what it's like to be me because I'm a lesbian and we haven't spoken in 20 years. And now after seeing the film, she understands what it's like for me." And so it's opened up that dialogue. And the mother has now realized she was wrong. And so it's those kind of responses. The film is life-changing.
And I'm sure people need to watch the film to really grasp this answer, but in a nutshell, what is it like being from the LGBT community?
We live in a society where we read things in the newspaper or we see things on the news or in the media, and we are sympathetic as a culture. We say, "Oh, that's too bad that happens. That really should stop." What my film does is it creates empathy. And that is very different from sympathy because empathy makes you feel it. And so people, mainstream society, are able to really plug themselves into what it would be like to be marginalized for who they love. And although we live in LA and we think, these things don't really exist anymore, prejudice is very real and it's happening all over the world. There's hate crimes every day. I know some gay man was just beat up in West Hollywood a couple weeks ago. Prejudice is still everywhere, and we could choose to ignore it, or we could choose to accept the fact that we need to start enlightening people and creating this empathy to humanity.
Taking that empathy angle is so interesting because I feel like so often when there is bullying or even hate crimes, it's because people are comparing themselves and focusing on their differences and ranking each other and being righteous, versus really taking the step to step into someone else's shoes and understand what their world's like, their perspective, and why they are who they are. So that's a really unique gift that you're giving people to have empathy.
We could preach as a society and we could just demand equality, but I don't think anything is going to happen until we create that empathy. And role reversal is one of the classic teaching tools, and I think that other media has paved the way for other minority cultures, and it's time for something for the LGBT community, and this is what it is.
What's the main message that you hope people leave with after watching the movie?
It's not about labels. It's not about being homosexual, heterosexual, transsexual, pansexual. It's about being human. And I could have inverted any sort of minority, age, race, sex, gender. I chose love because it's a universal language. And at the end of the day, intolerance of any kind is unacceptable, and we need to start looking at people as the humans that they are instead of defining them for what they are.
Take me on your filmmaking journey, because I know it's been quite the journey. So where did you begin this journey?
Albert Einstein says that genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. And that is really true, and that's why I call my company Genius Pictures, because
What does that mean exactly?
it means that there's a million great ideas every day, but the difference in success is to actually execute those ideas and to figure out how you can make it happen, because I firmly believe that you can make anything happen if you just figure out the steps to get there. And so my journey took a while. You have to be patient, and you can never stop your quest if you believe in something so much that you want to see it happen. You have to figure out how to get it there. And so my film started as a short film that I created in 2010. I always wanted it to be a feature, but I knew it would be a tough sell in Hollywood because the concept had never been done before in this way. And so I created a short film using all the resources I had, plus a Kickstarter campaign. And we created Love Is All You Need, the short film, in 2010. And did the festival circuit. It won numerous awards, and in 2013 it leaked onto the internet, and overnight it went to 40 to 50 million people. We can't even count because it got plagiarized and pulled on so many social media platforms. And ultimately I decided to let it go because I wanted to make the feature, and I knew letting it go rather than trying to pull it back in and it would be the best tool of all. And I was right, because that's ultimately what led to the funding of the feature film. And the response I've gotten from the short film, I've got letters from kids all over the world telling me how it changed their life and how they showed it in schools, and it stopped bullying in those schools. And the dialogue that this premise creates is truly incredible. And I am so excited to see what the feature film is going to do, because if that's what a little short did and the feature film is just about to launch, I'm really excited.
That's so cool. And I love that you said people told you Hollywood wouldn't want this.
Oh gosh.
And I think that's a really good lesson, that just because people can't see it or they don't want it doesn't mean that there's not space for it.
Yes, I think people are so quick, especially in this town, to give you their ideas or their feedback, and a lot of people are very oppressive, especially, it's very hard to be a woman in Hollywood. It is. And someone with a dream and talking to so many people, you're going to get feedback, and you got to take it and not let it break you. And ultimately, I rewrote the script, the feature-length script, 70 times before it was finally greenlit. And when it was greenlit, I got to go back and write the film I wanted. But it was only from hearing the feedback from people and really getting that collective group of feedback, of why they're saying the things they do. You can take in all that feedback and make the best project possible. It's not about taking it, letting it bring you down and discourage you from doing it. You have to look at everything, where it's coming from and why it's being said, and then incorporate it into what you're doing.
When people in Hollywood were telling you that there wasn't room for this project, how did you move forward anyways and go, no, I think that there is?
You know what kept me going? It was that short film, and having it go viral and viral and viral again, and seeing the press and the traction, and then the feedback, and sometimes the political backlash. I had teachers use it as a teaching tool in their school. And in 2 cases, they didn't get the consent from, the community, and both teachers were fired, and I had to go to save them both and their jobs, and in which case I was able to do both times. And seeing that pushback on a short film that's really been used internationally and used as a teaching tool, and actually endorsed by major educators being used, and then that kind of pushback just reaffirms the need for something like this. And so at a certain point, you have to start listening to what the world is telling you and what your gut is telling you. And I knew as those letters kept trickling in, as those instances kept happening, I knew I couldn't stop.
Yeah, and I think another good lesson is that there's power in testing something. For anyone watching who wants to do a new project, start small, test it out with something short, with something little, and see if there's a demand from people, because the people spoke and they wanted more, and now you're giving them more. And you said that being a female filmmaker has its challenges. Tell me about that.
Wow. there's this huge outcry for female filmmakers right now. It's all over the news how there's like a very, very small percentage of female filmmakers as opposed to male filmmakers. And I think it's really across the board in any sort of job is you're seeing this male-female divide as we have for centuries. And I think that right now is a really interesting place because we're kind of moving toward equality because people are starting to talk about it. And as a female filmmaker, when you direct something, you are the boss. You are running the show, and there are a million different things going on. And, you know, that's been looked upon as like a men's profession for a long time. But I think that they're starting to really recognize women in this place. And after all, like, women go through childbirth.
Yeah,
that's,
we're pretty strong. We're pretty tough.
Yeah, that's like far, far worse than making a movie. So I think that it's time.
Quote of the day.
Yeah. I think it's time to start looking at people for the people that they are and the skills that they have rather than their gender.
What do you think we can do to make sure that that happens?
I put a little bit of commentary into my movie with that. When you think of this inversion with, you know, gay is straight and straight is gay, I took one small liberty, and I did feel that if the homosexual was the norm, if being homosexual was the norm, I think that men and women would be on an equal playing field. So if there's a men's football team, there should be a women's football team, right? Why is there only men's football in our world? So in my film, my lead actress is a star quarterback of her university, and the men's team is not good at all. And she falls in love with a sports journalism major, Ryan, and she has to like give up everything she's worked for. And everything she's lived for who she loves. And that's a very real and relatable story.
So you're releasing your film in a really unique way. Tell me about that.
Let's just say this film is going to come out in a very different way than the norm. And it is
Are you going to pull a Beyonce on us and just like drop it on iTunes overnight or something?
No, but we're going to do a tour that is to every major city that needs this dialogue.
Cool.
And we are bringing some really key people and influencers, and we're going to start it right where it needs to start, which is right across the street from the Westboro Baptist Church. You know, they're the people that hold up the signs that say God hates.
Yeah.
Their sermons are in my film. And what I've done is I've put them in there verbatim, and I've just changed one word. And when you showcase it in that light and you really get to understand where they're coming from and the misappropriation of religion, it becomes a major talking point. And so we're starting our tour at the Equality House, which is right across the street from the Westboro Baptist Church, and then we're going to go to major cities around there and travel around. What's going to be really exciting is that I've decided when the film hits 1 million downloads, I'm going to give half of it to the Orlando projects in, you know, making the world a better place, because it's time to really take this and use it. And as a filmmaker, I could only do so much. This movie was created to make the world a better place, and so we're going to continue to pay it forward.
What's the number one piece of advice that you would give a woman who's pursuing an unconventional career like yours?
Never, never, never give up. Because if you keep going and you believe in your heart that this is what is supposed to happen, you will eventually hear a yes. And it really just takes one yes to make
Hallelujah.
it happen.
That's something I say all the time. It only takes one yes.
Yeah. And you could hear 1 million no's, which I did. And you could choose to let that get you down, or you could keep going. I feel like a lot of people in our society right now as a culture, you know, they try and oppress others that they see like trying to change things. And it's just a natural response. And so you can keep pushing through that and be the one to make the change, or you could stop. And I don't think that anyone that's ever made great change has ever said it comes easy. Because if stuff was easy, everyone would do it.
Good point. One thing that I'm kind of curious to ask you about, but I know it would be like extremely charged, and that's I feel like the biggest community that has an issue with the LGBT community is religious people, and like, and what you're talking about, the Westboro Church, and like how I'm interested on your take. How do you speak to those people and reach those people when they're so attached to their religious belief around what's right or wrong in that?
That is exactly who I made this film for, because I am literally taking true events and real sermons and placing it in this film and reversing it. Also incorporating the stories of Matthew Shepard, Ryan White, Tyler Clemente. I mean, nothing that happens in the film has not happened in real life. And by keeping true to that reality and then getting a very visible cast and also, really creating a social action around it, those people are going to see this film, whether they like it or not, and it's going to open their eyes.
Because of empathy.
Because of empathy, yes. Because once they see their long-held beliefs questioned in this way where it forces them to really look at what they're looking at and questioning, wow, what if the norm was changed? It really enlightens people.
Lastly, what's your definition of empowerment?
Empowerment is the core belief that you can do anything you set your mind to. And whether or not you have the support of the world, as long as you believe in it yourself, you will feel empowered.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. I cannot wait to check out the movie.
Awesome. Yeah, you can check it out, loveisallyounneedthemovie.com.
Perfect. And let us know what your definition of empowerment is using #Empowerista, and we'll show you some social media love. A special thank you to our friends at Young Potential Development who are helping create a new generation of empowered women through their educational programs. On September 1st on Kickstarter, they will launch the Cube that you see right here. It's made up of 11 interactive videos to help teens develop the entrepreneurial skills they need to discover their potential, develop their skills, and ultimately achieve their life goals. Be sure to follow them on Facebook and Twitter @TheCube now.